Hello and welcome to this week's lesson. As you can see in the top of my book, I have studied English for 25 years, and this week in our new lesson we're going to be talking about this structure called the present perfect. So first of all, let's review some concepts. Now, the present perfect is used to indicate a link between the present and the past, even though, as the name implies, it says present. We need to be very careful because it refers to past actions. The time of the action is before now, but we don't really specify when it happened, or we rarely do. We are more interested in the result than in the action itself. So that's good and all, but how do we use it? How do we actually put it into practice in our modern or everyday life? So first of all, we have to know that it has 5 different ways to use it, and I'm going to present it right now. The first one is an action when the time is not important. It can be any action that occurred in any moment in the past, but the time is not really important, or we don't know when it happened. It can also be an action or situation that started in the past and continues in the present. That means it started in the past and it's still being done in the present. It can also be an action performed during a period that has not yet finished. Again, it can be an action that started in any moment in the past and it's still occurring. A repeated action in an unspecified period between the past and now. And finally, an action that was completed in the very recent past and we express it by adding just to the sentence. Okay, so these are the 5 different ways in which we can use the present perfect. Now, to continue on this, we're going to go one by one to see some examples on how to properly use it. First of all, we're going to see how to build the structure. We normally use it, as we know, we have affirmative sentences, negative sentences, and we also have interrogative sentences. So the first one that we're going to look at is how to create affirmative sentences. First of all, we need our noun. It can be any noun, okay? Followed, we're going to use either have or has. Remember that if we're talking about the third person, we are going to be using has for it. That means he, she, and it require you to use has. After that, you are going to add the past participle of the verb. As we have practiced before when we were talking about simple past, you are going to look at your verb table and your verb chart, and then is going to be a specific section where it says past participle of the verb, and that's the one that we are going to be using to build our present perfect sentences. And finally, as always, we need a complement clause for our sentences. Now, when it comes to negative structures, okay, we're going to use again our noun followed by have or has. The difference is that we're going to be adding the negative particle not to the verb has or has. After that, again, we're going to add our past participle of the verb followed by our complement clause. When we want to build questions using the present perfect, we, as always, we are going to just switch the order in which we create our sentences. That means that we are going to start our sentence by using have or has, followed by the noun and then the past participle of the verb. This is very important. In this case, normally we have the have or has that is going to be our auxiliary followed by the past participle. In this case, we are going to alternate the order in which we add it. First, we say the auxiliary have or has, and then we use the noun, followed by the past participle of the verb. And this is very important. You have to always add it, and the complement clause if we have one. Obviously, we can have questions in which we only have this have or has plus the noun and the past participle, and it can be a short question. If you want, you can add the complement clause to give a full complete question. And obviously, we can never forget the question mark at the end. Now, I'm going to show you some examples for each one of the different communicative functions or uses that we can give to the present perfect. Okay. First of all, as I mentioned, the first one is an action when the time is not important or we don't know the time of the action. We can say something like, someone has eaten my soup. As you can see, we're not specifying when. We just know that someone ate it. Okay, someone has eaten my soup. Someone did it before the moment that we're observing it right now, but we don't really know when it happened. Have you seen Gone with the Wind? It's just a question to refer to. Have you seen it in the past? The answer can be yes, I have, no, I haven't, but we're not really interested in the time frame when it happened, but we are more invested in learning about the result of the action, if they actually have seen the movie or not. Then we have, she studied Japanese, Russian, and English. Again, we don't have a specific time frame for this. We just know that she has studied these 3 languages in the past. Okay. Now, for a second use, an action or situation that started in the past and continues in the present. We have, they haven't lived here for years. Okay. You know that this situation has not happened for a long period of time. And we have had the same car since 2009. Okay, now this is very important for you to realize that we have also highlighted here the words for and since. Now, these are used for the present perfect tense, and they are used to refer to the time frame where things happened. For refers to the length of time. It encapsulates the whole period. As you can say, 4 years is a long period. And when we say since, we mention the time when the action started. Okay, so that's very important to remember. Since is used to mention when the action started, and for is to refer to the length of time that the action has been occurring. We have some more examples. She has worked in the bank for 5 years. Again, a period of time. He hasn't visited his hometown since 1998. Okay, again, the starting point with since. I have studied English for 25 years. If you remember, this is the starting point of our lesson. As you can see, for it specifies when the period of time that has passed since I started studying English, and I still have not finished. Okay, so remember, an action that started in the past and continues in the present. And finally, have you played the piano since you were a child? This is a question that we are using since to find out when the action started for the person playing the piano. Next we have an action performed during a period that has not yet finished. We have, I worked hard this week. It is an event that's still occurring, but it started in, it's an unfinished period of time. Okay? Then we have, it has rained a lot this year. The year hasn't finished, and this action has happened in an unfinished time frame. We haven't seen her today. Again, an action performed somewhere in an unfinished period of time. Okay, then we have a repeated action in an unspecified period between the past and now. We have our first example. They have seen that film 6 times. Okay, it's not specifying when, it's just saying that this action has been repeated several times in the past. It has happened several times already. So before the last time it happened, it had happened several times already. Okay, she has visited them frequently. So you can say frequency. We are adding the frequency words to show that it has not only happened once, but it has happened several times along the period of time. We have eaten at that restaurant many times. An action that was completed in the very recent past and expressed by just. Okay? Or for example, have you just finished work? This is an action that could have just been finished. An action that was finished in the near or instant past. Okay? Now we have, I have just eaten. Maybe you're seeing someone picking up their food tray and they say, oh, are you coming to sit here? I have just eaten. You can use this table. We have just seen her. Again, recent past, something that happened in the immediate past. Okay? Has he just left? Again, this time framed as a question. Okay? Now, for our exercise section of this lesson, we have our first one. Okay? We have exercise number 1. Write full sentences with the prompts given. Add any necessary information. Now, to complete this activity, I have given you one example. Okay? We have you read War and Peace, question mark. So the correct form to create it would be, have you read War and Peace? Now, you might wonder, well, but why is it written not in the past particle? Remember that read, it's a Remember that read is an irregular verb, so we don't really change the word as a whole, we just change the pronunciation. So for this activity, it shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to complete it. So we actually have the time for you to complete the activity and then double check your answers. Okay. For exercise number 2, we have complete the following sentences with the verb in parentheses. Add any necessary information. We have they, blank space, London this month. And we have in parentheses, leave. Okay? The answer to this one would be, they have left London this month. Okay? You are given a time frame, but again, it hasn't finished the month. So it's okay to use it in this case. Again, this second activity shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes for you to complete it and then discuss with your classmates the answer. Now, moving on to exercise number 3. Now, in this exercise, you are going to be writing sentences for the actions that I'm giving you. These are actions that finish in the recent past. So you are going to be using just. Any extra information that you feel that is necessary, you should add it. I'm just giving you the verb and the complement clause. Okay, as you can see, we have finished my homework. How would you complete it? I have just finished my homework. Now, this is a short activity, so this shouldn't take you more than 5 minutes. So feel free to complete it and then double check. Now, for our last activity, this is sort of a long one because this is a reading comprehension activity. I'm giving you a short dialogue between Bob and Darren who work together. They are talking about interviews for a new sales manager position at their company. As you can see, we have the full conversation they conducted And once you finish reading this dialogue, you have to answer the following questions about the reading. We have these 4 questions. The first one is, how many people have they interviewed? Who has worked in the food industry? Who have they not met? Why haven't they interviewed Larry? Okay, so with this exercise, that it should also take you about 10 minutes because you have to read and double check your answers, you would have completed this lesson. Hopefully, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to not only create sentences to use the structure of the present perfect, but you will also be able to create your own questions and answer any comprehension question that you might have by reading a dialogue. Okay, so thank you so much. See you next lesson.